Acum vom avea un panel, o masă rotundă cu operatorii Telecom pe care îi poftesc pe scenă și pe Gârlașu. Eu și cu el vom fi moderatori. Avem aici GTS-ul, avem Euroweb și Orange. So, yes, I'll do in English because it's going on, the transmission. And I just received exactly from Vensurf an answer, and he told me that they are looking. So it's good, in a way. We are here to start a debate about the consequences, I mean the strategies and the way operators are receiving that AI, as I say in English, IA in Romania. We prepare some kind of questions with Dan, and because I'm a little bit tired, I ask him to start first.
Thank you, Adi. Hello, everyone.
Not tired, but...
One of the things that has been discussed so far is the hypercloud. And actually, I was discussing with Adi even yesterday. When the cloud was invented, there was a promise that everything will be much simpler than it was before on-premise. And yet, when the customers go to cloud, they actually go to several clouds because they have an account with Microsoft, Office 365. They have an account with Oracle for a database or for an ERP. They have an account with Google. They have an account with Amazon. So what's going on here? This becomes very, very complicated. So little by little, the idea evolved. If I recall, as far as 5 years ago, Oracle and Microsoft decided to build data center within the same premise so they can do the interconnect very easily with fiber optic. And there are also other things going on here, and would like to discuss with you guys, because you are the carriers, you are the telcos, you are the infrastructure provider. How do you see this possibility of providing multiple services which are very easy to access from the customer point of view in the cloud?
Hi, my name is Ioan Constantin. I'm a cybersecurity expert with Orange Romania. I will probably discuss the implications in cybersecurity of some of your questions. But I'll do my best to address this need for hyper-integrators, because this is basically what we're discussing. You have, of course, multiple cloud deployments, and most of our digital life is somewhat connected to a cloud, but there is, of course, a need to integrate some of the basics, the primitives, in terms of availability, in terms of security, of course, and foremost in terms of compliance, because we are telcos. We have to abide by the rules. We have Orange have been noticing, of course, substantial increases in volumes of data transiting our networks since the onset of the pandemic, and even before that. But 2020 was probably the year where we noticed some important spikes. But that was expected. This is not something that we are just diving into and hoping for the best. As hyperscalers, well, they do that job and they scale their deployments, their infrastructures. We, as carriers, basically have to oblige, right, and follow their suit. We we extend our infrastructure. We benefit from the developments in cloud deployments for ourselves. For instance, 5G and 5G standalone is mostly a cloud-native application of previous infrastructures. So we follow along. There is an impact. There's, of course, a substantial impact, but there's also opportunity. Opportunity in improving our services, in keeping pace, and, as I mentioned before, in adding security and privacy and compliance to all things cloud.
Okay, I'm Cornel, Cristea from Euroweb. What I can say about the hypercloud and the needs of the customer and on the everyday life is, of course, the connectivity, but also it's in fact that customer can choose regions or where they want to buy or to execute the payloads. And for that reason, as a service provider, we need to assure the communications. And for that, we are in contact with every large hyperscalers and try to, let's say, to extend their connectivity for their private connections as close as possible to the customer in the closest and the low latency way. We are discussing about AI, and this is implying also the need for a huge amount of data that need to be transferred to the cloud. And that increase, in fact, the need for speed that every customer will need. And as said, we need to cope with the requirement of the bandwidth, and if internet is, let's say, doubling the traffic every 3 years, like a rule, in terms of hypercloud and AI, the speed growth is much faster. It's doubling every year and a year and a half. So yeah, we have to deal with that, and of course, do with the best of breed technologies, capacities, transport networks, IP, WDM, and early adoption of higher capacity 400, 800 Gs in the near future. We are confident that we'll be able to keep pace with the requirements. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bogdan, Pipernea. I'm coming from GTS Telecom. I have to admit that as a colleague from Google, I'm feeling a little bit imposter in this meeting today. I'm in the telecom world since 6 months ago. I'm coming from IT, so my core experience is IT, and telecom is, let's say, a resource and a service that I have been using for the last 20 years. And now, as I joined GTS, I'm leading the IT department and IT integration business of GTS. So I'll try to answer with my IT and public cloud knowledge less than with the telecom knowledge that my colleagues here were presenting. So you were mentioning about identity management. Identity management is a thing that was concerning also the non-cloud provided services. So in a large enterprise, identity management is something that should be taken very seriously. And the difference that these public cloud and hyperscalers are bringing on the table is the edge, is how much exposure do we have to internet. And yeah, I've read somewhere that more than 50% of the current internet traffic is generated by non-human, by bots. So, looking at some statistics, it is predicted that in the next 2 to 3 years, more than 30% of all the internet content will be AI generated, because we talk a lot about AI. So I think it's important for the hyperscalers and for the public cloud providers to have means to facilitate the access to security tools and to various type of protections against what is going to come. We know very well that the AI-powered security attacks are increasing, and we need tools to defend against this. Sometimes we need processes, and we need, maybe more important, we need awareness. We need awareness at all levels of an organization. So in my opinion, it is our role as providers of services to increase this awareness and to speak to the people. Some of them not very technical savvy, some of them not understanding basic concept of IT, and elevate the level of security and IT awareness to these users. So at the end, we will be able to provide safer services to them.
So referring to AI,
yeah.
We have to ask you both ways. I mean, using AI for protection, and how influence your services the AI in general. I mean security and also but mainly security and data flow.
Regarding security, there's a lot to discuss here. There's a lot to unpack here because AI and security are such huge playing fields when it comes to doing things, and discussing about things that
exactly.
What we are trying to do is to better understand how integrating AI would actually help. Because I personally do not believe that this is a given, that just throwing AI to anything that already exists is a means of improving the capacity or the capability of said thing. I believe that there's a need for a culture when it comes to consuming and using AI, and we should start from the ground up with, in literally defining a culture for users when it comes to AI. AI isn't just large language models. LLMs are simply a use case, probably one of the marginal use cases. Cybersecurity is fundamental to all things digital and has always been. This is not a new practice. This is not a new area of interest for carriers, for ISPs, for telcos, or for end users. We have seen attacks that have some sort of AI twist to them, in the sense that maybe some of the attackers are using some decoys, are creating some form of decoys, using AI just in order to replicate some common characteristics and then go above and below the baseline just to trigger some sort of anomaly detection in our infrastructure. But we've seen the use of AI, and we have been practicing the use of AI in our monitoring and response capabilities. Most security operations centers, or most operational activities in security, it does rely on AI, on machine learning basically, in order to drive their excellence. We have been doing this for years, and it's not just us. We've been using ML in basic tools, I call them basic, but that wasn't the case some years ago, such as CMs, right? To correlate and just to pinpoint facts to the analysts. So there is definitely a practice of integrating AI to both defensive and offensive capabilities, unfortunately. But I strongly believe that we need to substantiate this with culture.
What is pretty sure that in this conference, the last session, Casey Claffey from San Diego, from the CAIDA Center, where they analyze data, and it's a new project for AI-generated, generative AI data in the internet, and how they mark the data and how they can analyze the impact. I wish all of you will be at this session. It will be online I arranged that later because of the hour, but anyway. Okay, Cornel.
I will continue about, let's say, in the business. What is the most important is the time to understand, the time to react, the time to be on the market. Where AI is helping, and is not helping only about security, let's say, the machine learning models to understand logs from CM, but also the response time, and not only about from the security perspective, but also from the operational view. Let's say the large amount of data collected from the tens of and thousands of equipments, various equipments, the larger the network is, the more data flows you have to collect. You have to get them in a way that can be used from and extracted from the data lake, let's say, and this analysis goes further, and we expect to have a faster reaction to problems, to issues, and from that perspective, let's say, the operational, it's a little bit behind from where the AI is at this moment. In the real world, but there are steps, and in the future it is expected to have self-sustained network from the AI from the moment of proactive defect detection and actions into the network, and provide self-healing mechanism with as much as low human intervention as possible.
Yeah, it's hard to add anything to what has been said, but at the end of the day, AI is about storing data, it's about processing data, and it's about fetching this data in order to be processed. All these are required data center capabilities and are requiring internet at the end of the day. So the need for internet, especially with this forecast that this AI will exponentially grow, will exponentially grow itself as well. So solutions like CDN that are providing internet access to the edge, to the closest points to the consumers are very important, both from defending in terms of possible attacks like denial of service, but not only, but also in terms of faster access to data by the users or the applications that need to have this access to data. And one more thing that is quite important, because I was talking before about awareness, is the fact that as a cloud provider, we are seeing an increase in terms of who are our at the end customers and who are our users. We used to deal with IT infrastructure guys, we deal with IT operations guys. Now more and more the end user client is software programmer, is a developer that needs to have fast access to its resource to be able to consume software-defined infrastructure very, very fast without any IT operations, without any IT engineering involved in this process. So AI and LLM are making sometimes these things easier, are translating some of the technical things to people that are not very used to this, let's say, IT infrastructure, IT operations things. The same for security and for other tools like monitoring, and it was mentioned CM or SOAR. The solutions are having an AI layer right now that is making the interface and the consumption of data more user-friendly for the end users. So speaking of frictionless and speaking about our, let's say, focus for the next future is how to make the access to our services more easy, more clear, and more transparent for the end users so that they can consume better these services.
Now, from this discussion, actually, and before launching the next topic, I'd like to ask two questions, because you mentioned volume of data doubling. So yeah, big data, this is an enabler for machine learning AI. But how do you cope with provisioning more bandwidth to your customer? Is that a challenge still, or is plenty of fiber available? Or tell us a little bit, if it's possible to tell us.
I'm not sure about how much fiber is available right now.
There is some.
There is some fiber available. Of course, we have to scale. Along with the services that we provide and the capacity that we need to provide. And I think we do a fairly good job at it. Ourselves and, of course, other players in the telco space. We are very far from saturating what's available right now. So I would just like to tone down the tiny alarmist bit of the question. We are far, far, far away from saturating what's now available, right? In the data center, outside the data center, to the edge, and to the end user equipment. We don't necessarily see a problematic future in extending and providing capacity as the need grows, right? As the service level increases. What we do see is, again, a need to further integrate cloud-based services. One vision is that single point of glass that pretty much every technical people has to mention at least one time in each conference, right? Everyone wants to have a single point of access to their data. Everyone wants to have governance at their disposal and choosing, and we, as telcos, needs to keep pace. We are in a good position. We are, of course, continuously deploying our 5G networks, and we will probably move to what's beyond 5G in a few years. And I don't know. I'm not good with specific the timelines, and it's definitely not my place to mention it. But things are progressing along nicely. This is the optimistic and positive note of the discussion.
Yeah, you ask about if there are enough fibers. Yeah, depending on where I'm looking about. When we are looking on Bucharest, maybe at this moment with Net City, we have enough fibers. And because the fibers are available, even fiber to the business, fiber to the home, then for sure we will have enough capacity in the future. But this is not the same if we are discussing about interconnecting regions. If initially there was 1-2 fiber under the sea, under the oceans, big consortium came out and put more fiber and more fibers, but this is a costly process, and the maintenance is a pain because you need to go with the ship and wait 3 months to weld the fiber if it is broken under the sea. But to use what is already existing, the technology came near us and developed the new technology. If first time we start discussing about 10G, then 100G, now there are a lot of tests for over 1 terabit of data over on a single channel, and also using multiple channels on the WDM. So at this moment, with 400 and 800 Gs available on the market, you can buy 800 Gs. Also in the WDM, there were also tests, and you can have 80, 96 channels. So it's a tremendous amount of data over a single fiber. And this is the reason why this is the need for that capacity pushes us to use the newest technology. And the pressure is huge because we need to change technology every few years to keep pace with the new interfaces and the new speeds. But this came with a huge cost because doubling the capacity most of the time means like increasing costs 5 times more than the previous generation, because the newer technology are more expensive. Of course, in time, the price will drop down, but at that moment, I think the next logical step is to move forward to the next one. So what we are doing in our side is to look in the future, and let's say jump over some steps, like we did with fibers on the trees. It was in the first country in the world with the speed, because we jump about the DSL like Germany had for several years. So right now we are looking where we should be in the 3-5 years, and if it's possible, we'll jump over one step and create a business case model for sure to be in the business, because otherwise we'll not be there.
Anyway, I could see that you told about Bucharest. You talked about towns, but still we are affected by digital divide in this country. Digital divide is a direction in internet society studying areas which are not covered or are poor covered. So I have an example in Mizil, for example. And I was there, and for some generally guys, I had to help them with satellite dish, even now, today. So it depends what we are talking about. Yeah, of course, you are true.
Yeah, for that, for sure, the colleagues from the mobiles,
yes.
we are based on their research and their development.
Maybe I could add just a very quick note to this. There are several programs, mostly in capacity building, funded or co-funded by the European Commission, That allows us, as telcos, to extend some of our capability to areas, to regions that otherwise would have been probably very low on the list of priorities. And I'm very proud that we just started such a program.
Good.
It's called the Connected Danube Delta. And what we intend to do is provide the first 5G standalone network in the Danube Delta. And this is done
It's
through
really very
partnership.
important.
Yeah. So in 2 or 3 years, we should have, because it really plugs into the societies and to the communities. We can provide e-health service or services or learning, better educational services. It pretty much opens up a full capacity in digital that would have otherwise been compromised just by the lack of infrastructure. So there are definitely developments in this area. But I fully agree that
good to know.
At different paces.
Well, again, as I mentioned, I'm not a telco guy. At the end of the day, the question is, should we put the road before the cars, or should we wait for the cars and then increase the road and implement some highways? I've learned today that, and I also was reading a little bit, we are first or among the first countries in Europe in terms of internet access, but we are the last country in terms of digital adoption at the end of the day. So how much bandwidth and how much internet do we need to have in addition so that we can trigger the adoption of digital in areas like public sector, not only, at the end of the day. So in my opinion, we have to balance this. So let's look at the traffic and then decide if we need additional bandwidth.
Some people are working on that. But in 1996, it was told to me that IPv6 will come. And 2 weeks ago, I talked with some guys from Lithuania who are selling huge amounts of IPv4 classes. And I asked them, why you did that? Because it didn't come. Oh, but they told me 30 years ago that it will come. It's just on the spot. So it's a big discussion here about technology. Anyway, I want to also ask about IoT, Internet of Things. These are dumb devices which generate a lot of traffic. And last year, when I was to the radio, suddenly I talked about fog, which is between edge and cloud, and everybody was silent. And I said, okay, forget about it. I didn't say anything, because it was too complicated to explain how data from IoT are reading fog and this. But also big problem with security, because we have a lot of dumb devices who have some old-fashioned flash and also some things in their software that can cope very bad things in our networks. I take care of those.
And allow me, Adi, just to explain to everybody. So next year, the projection for IDC is for 41.6 billion IoT elements connected. 41.6 billion, okay? And this forecast was increasing. It was adjusting in the increasing mode every year since was initially issued.
I don't know, he knows the figures, but I looked only on the black screens like Cornel does, and then I see what's happening, so it's really very difficult.
Maybe anybody can ask,
but you have to take care of this.
How many devices do you have in your house which are connected to your local access point? That's a good question. Anyway, what I wanted to show as a danger is a vulnerability, a breach discovered by Darktrace 5 years ago. Some perpetrators entered a casino database through the thermostat of the fish tank, of the aquarium, very nicely situated in the lobby of the casino. So what did they get out of there? 10 gigabytes of confidential data about who is playing, who is betting, who is winning money in the casino. So this is to laugh, but if you think at Stuxnet, which can be installed in any programmable logic controller for a railway, subway, hydropower station, nuclear station, whatsoever, this becomes a little bit frightened. So, gentlemen, tell us your thoughts about that.
So, I believe there's a need for a fork in the road in terms of discussing IoT. For one, you have IoT devices that are probably behind the gateway somewhere, like in our homes. And for those devices, we do our best, in terms of like the entire technological collective, right? We're doing our best to secure the gateways because we don't know that much about the device that connects to the gateway. And there you have the supply chain issues. That's probably the biggest threat. There is this malware, and has been circulating since 2010. It goes under different names, but probably it's best known as Mirai. And Mirai, that's a word in Russian, beautiful language. I'm not sure what it means. It hasn't been patched by vendors because vendors move on to the next thing, right? They have this year's class of devices or model of devices. They move to the next one. They simply forgot about patching the firmwares on the 2023 models. So for these types of devices, we have to do our best to secure at the gateway, and if something is to exit through the gateway, we need to have network access control, we need to have profiling, we need to use AI, right, to better understand what those devices are doing.
Yeah.
And for the second category, like true IoT, true in the sense of devices waiting for a use case, I believe we are not yet there. I believe we are still, as it was the case for your story about IPv6, we are still somewhere just looking over the fence for the first vehicle to everything, V2X or vehicle to vehicle type of communication. I believe that would probably be one of the strongest use cases for Internet of Things connected devices actually communicating with each other, and the need for profound security measures, right? But what we do and what we need to continue doing is to better understand what types of devices are out there, what means of communications are in use, what are the vulnerability across the stack from hardware level to protocol, right, to application, because the application layer is a whole different mess when it comes to consumer grade IoT, and we need to prepare for the next 41+ billion devices that will require to connect to the internet through some medium.
And probably educate the designers of IoT applications. Please start from the beginning with using a security protocol.
For me, it's clear. When I see a Hikvision label on one of my my devices, I do the same. I continue to take care of that. Yeah, that's what you mentioned more or less. Sorry for the label, but.
Well, just to add that Mirai botnet, because that I was leading my way. It's still it's actually a botnet of some up to 70 million infected home gateways, routers, right? Used to orchestrate distributed denial of services attacks.
Of course, this is what I mentioned.
And in 2010, most of those gateways were probably connected to some 2 megabits per second lines. Now they are connected to gigabit per second lines. So the DDoSs are very destructive.
We avoid giving them so much.
Sorry?
We avoid giving them so much bandwidth.
Yeah.
Me, in my case. Okay.
We have to. I mean, yeah, we're doing our best, but.
So actually, that's a good point. You brought DDoS in the discussion, and I think the big dilemma of the carrier is I need to let as much traffic to go through my network. This is how I make money, isn't it? But on the other side, if I have a DDoS attack, what do I do? How is AI able to help you with DDoS?
Yeah, so continuing discussion with the IoT. The IoT traffic is not too much to make us think about the bandwidth and so on. The numbers you mentioned also speak about growing 1.5–2 billion per year in the next 10 years, for example. So there are a lot of IoT devices that we need to take care of. The first terabit DDoS attack was with Mirai. Nowadays, I understand the last one a few weeks or months ago was over 3 terabits terabits per second attack, and it's about those kind of botnets. Of course, if I'm talking about 3 terabits toward the service provider, I don't know if we can face this huge amount, because to get into the network, even that if we want to pass through the customer, we also need to have that kind of connectivity worldwide with all service providers and so on, which is costly. We don't have that. So for that reason, and I'm talking right now about DDoS, is to understand what kind of traffic, and I really like to look on the packets to see what packets are passing
I have a
through.
loop because I cannot see well, it's age.
So
and I look to that loop, what is written on the label, and then I see what I can do.
Yeah, so we need to understand what traffic is coming through, and then to understand if it is a legitimate or not traffic. And for those, we have something like pattern matching, some bits to match in the packet that came from a specific bot command and control servers, of course, well-known in the world IP infected, and those are putting available by the security companies, those which are major players in the DDoS business. But also, if we are talking about small amount of data, under the megabits, something like that, it's hard to understand if it is a DDoS, if it is a normal. And then for this, AI came into picture and analyzed those streams of data for human behavior analytics, to understand if it is a human behind it or if it is some botnet. The worst thing is that also the attackers are doing the same, are trying to dissimulate attacks like being human. It is a battle, which one is first on implementing, on discovering bugs and identifying a new vector of attacks. But as I said in the beginning, we all want to have as much bandwidth as possible, but also the responsibility to keep the network safe, to keep the service running, because if you are talking the IoT, most of them are sensors, and you need to have a reliable network because you need the outcome, the result of the input of the sensor when it happened. It doesn't matter if you receive an email that yesterday someone broke your house, you need to know when it happened.
I'm coming from customers, so I was working for more than 20 years in banks in Romania. So usually when DDoS attack was impacting our businesses, it was mostly because they were attacking us, not the ISP. So they were trying to attack us. So irrespective how much bandwidth an ISP provider has and how much good infrastructure capability it has at the end of the day, it's about how much bandwidth is a customer willing to pay and what kind of protection he has in place. Having only one solution, even if this solution is state-of-the-art, even if this solution is powered by AI, even if this solution is provided by a professional ISP, is not enough. In most of the cases, we are failing with only one solution. Yeah, so that's why, and yeah, there are a lot of regulations, and now we have NIS 2, and there is DORA, and there are other regulations that are asking you have a multi-cloud provider strategy, have a multi-cloud multi-vendor strategy, protect your infrastructure, protect your area of services with more than one solution, or try to cover from many dimensions the same issue that you have. So yeah, when the DDoS attacks on ISP providers were not functioning at one ISP provider, we're using the second ISP provider to provide core services to our customers. When the second provider was failing as well, we are using internal anti-DDoS solutions. when these internal solutions were failing, we were trying to use configurations at the application side that we can mitigate with such services, with such attacks and so on. So, and once again, it's about education, yeah. So it's about learning how to deal with these attacks. And it's an exciting job because these attacks are getting even more complex and more complex. And we are lagging behind the attackers, especially when these attackers are large institutions or states like Russia. I was working for a bank that was having an exposure to Russia, and when the war in Ukraine has started, it was a severe hit in our operations across the whole group because of Russia. And it is very hard to fight with such attackers, irrespective of your solutions as of your providers that are backing your solutions.
It's not fun at all. But for me, it's fun because I have some old machines. You know, I have a computer from different ages, and I start them, look and make fun because the structure of directories and these are completely different from what it is now. So I see the traces of some attacks inside looking in those old machines. And they told me they call that sensors. And I say, okay.
Okay, the last topic is your infrastructure AI ready? Are you ready to provide the AI services?
Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, yes, in very short and concise answer, yes. And I believe that we need to be AI ready. But again, I'm going to end by circling back to one very insightful Twitter post of an ex-Microsoft alumni. And he was mentioning, unfortunately I cannot remember the name now, but he said, he famously wrote that if it's written in PowerPoint is AI, if it's written in Python it's machine learning. So yes, our infrastructure are fully machine learning ready. We have services that heavily depend on ML. We are more than ready to provide them to our B2B customers and to use them ourselves.
Yeah, the question about infrastructure to be ready, yeah, the infrastructure is there, it's ready. But I think that at this moment we are in the level of several years ago when we are talking about digitization. Are you ready to step into digitization, into cloud era? At this moment we are in the same stage about AI, to let AI in our lives, to use AI, to explore the AI world and to find best solution that can help to drive our business better for us and for the customer as well.
Yeah, this question reminds me about the last announcement of Apple with their new range of phones, Apple 16, and the main highlight of the whole announcement was the phone is AI ready, and we don't have yet AI in iPhone, or not at least in the idea that was presented as a launch of the new telephones back in September. When somebody doesn't know what to tell about the new features of one product, now it labels this product as being AI capable, and we try to sell it once again. Yes, we have a lot of solutions that are having already AI inside. We have capabilities to provide to our customers which are willing to invest and use AI without having an investment on their end. We are able to provide AI capabilities for them to try on our infrastructure. We look forward to having customers which are more advanced in terms of needs and understanding of AI that will be able to challenge us, ask for services that we are not able to provide. For the time being is not the case.
I think he wanted to ask how in percentage from 0 to 100, how much is AI ready and how much is not. It's not like you say, like advertising or something.
Yeah. Give a percentage.
Infrastructure.
How much we rely on AI versus human? I don't know. 10%. It's coming.
It's coming.
No, we cannot answer. So that's why this conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, it's so frustrating. I'm telling, hey Google, lights up. And after 30 seconds, Google said, sorry, your service is down, or things like that. Yeah, but that's local loop, that's a different story. But yeah, I think we need a lot of education, actually. What we did probably 30 years ago is all the program for internet in the school, which, by the way, today is bringing 8% of the country's GDP. I think this is where we are today with AI. And I'm very happy that you invited Adina Florea, because her commitment for AI for the last 30 years proved that in the end she's a winner in this. And I hope everybody can...
Anyway, we are invited tomorrow to the Polytechnic to make an open course at her. So renounced completely to the course, and I go as two of our invited there. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Now,